Hello, everyone. Welcome to CSE Tech Talks. I'm Garrett Helms.
I'm Savanna Whittaker.
And today we actually have to share mics, but that's okay. We have a special guest with us today, Anderson Stewart. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Hey, we're living.
Yes, sir.
It's good times.
Getting through the semester, halfway through.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, so we wanted to bring you on here to kind of discuss what your position is for the school in the IT department and kind of go through your background. And so I thought you could start us off by telling us, what is your background? How did you get into software engineering?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of a interesting history behind all of it, but basically it started off with an interest in robotics. I really wanted to really understand more of how robotics worked and really how to get them programmed and up and running. But all throughout high school, I was introduced to different kinds of engineering, like electrical, mechanical, manufacturing, and that kind of got the ball rolling for different types of programming and different types of engineering. Then I went on a mission, and cobwebs grew and everything like that. When I came back, I started doing classes online for BYU-I and doing the programming courses. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. It just felt so foreign to me. But then just going through the courses and especially taking some more basic languages like JavaScript, for example, that got me introduced to more complex languages like C# or C++ or some of the other languages taught here on campus. And just using those basic languages to learn the harder ones really helped the progression in that field of battle. Then with an internship, that led me into looking at web development, and because I grew to love web development so much. It was very easy to do. The languages were easy to understand.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It just felt so exciting to see the website come alive and see it progress into something that you imagine it to be or something that you've drawn it out to be. It's fun seeing that creation happen. Then after the internship was over, at least as it was nearing its end, I thought, where am I going to go next? I need to find a position that would best be suited for this. And I got called by BYU-I to get some feedback on the courses from after I graduated, just to get an idea of really where I stood as far as the courses are concerned and any feedback I might have. And after a little bit of discussion with one of the advisors, he asked me if there was anything he could do, and I asked if there were any positions open on campus. And
oh, wow.
It was really interesting. He explained to look on the career page to see what was available. And I saw that there was a software development position open in the Kimball building for IT. I thought, oh, that's great. I'll try to apply to that one. And looking at the specifications, it talked about backend development and working more with databases. And I thought, great, I have some experience with that from the internship. So let's see what that's all about. And then going through the interview processes, I thought I was ready and set to go. I'm like, oh yeah, we hit the third interview. This is it. We got this. Then I got turned down at first.
Oh.
I was like, oh, that's all right. But then I saw a language that they were asking for that I didn't really have a certification in, because I had gone through and done some certifications before just to gain some experience that way. And I got the certification in a language called SQL or SQL. That language was one that they were really looking for, and just seeing it today used in my everyday work, I can understand why.
Yeah.
So I got the certification for that from a platform called Code Academy. It's a platform that goes through different languages and provides certifications. But I completed that and posted it to my LinkedIn profile. And Doug Conway, the supervisor of my department, he saw that I posted it, and he said, hey, I saw you got the certification. That's something we've been really interested in. If a position was to open here at BYU-I, would you be interested?
Wow.
And I said, absolutely, I'd be interested. Yes, please. And so he talked to the President's Council, and the rest is history.
That's amazing.
Now I've been here for over a year, using SQL almost every day. But now I've really developed a lot in C# and .NET, just building a lot of the back end for what students need as far as registration is concerned, or different academic tools such as accessing their degree audits. Basically anything a student needs for success, my team and I are developing every day.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Where did you say you got that certification from?
It's a platform called Codecademy.
Codecademy. That's crazy because like a lot of students, they might look at something like that and be like, oh, well, that certification isn't worth as much as like certifications through an accredited university or something. But from your experience, it sounds like you got certified and that made a big deal. That was a big deal. It made a big impact on your LinkedIn profile and how your boss saw you. That's pretty amazing.
There's definitely not as big of a push for certifications,
Yeah.
but a lot of people these days are interested in certifications, especially those who don't really want a degree from a university or something like that. They'll pursue those certifications in hopes of landing a really good position, and sometimes they do. Codecademy has listings from NASA and all these other big major companies that their developers use. But I would definitely recommend going both ways.
Yeah.
Just seeing what experience you can gain from a university and what they can teach you, as well as a certification from Codecademy, for example. Both have their ups as well as their downs, but both provide the education and experience, hands-on experience, that students can use every single day to improve their coding skills and also interview knowledge. They have tools for that as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. I never really thought about that because you think, oh, I took intro to databases, so I must know it. But actually having a certification in that, that really helped you and gave you a boost when looking at jobs or even the school reaching out to you. And so could you explain a little bit more about how expanding your network that way and having been passed up, but then also him reaching out to you? How did all of that work? How did he, did you follow him on LinkedIn? How did all that happen?
So he ended up following me.
Oh, okay.
I also do follow BYU-I on my LinkedIn profile. But definitely posting those certifications, every single one of them that you get, I would definitely recommend posting it to LinkedIn, because even though it may not look like it, people are watching. They'll keep track of what you earn and what you're pursuing.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, that's good to know. And as we're talking about internships, when you were looking for those and when you were looking for jobs, what things did you find valuable to have on your resume? Did you have people look over it, or were you tailoring it for specific jobs that you wanted?
That's a great question. I had some people look over it, particularly my parents, especially my dad. He's had a lot of jobs over the years. He works at Samsung as an engineer.
Oh, wow.
And so he was able to provide a lot of good insights as to what things to look for and what things to cater to on your resume. But also paying attention to job specifications. Something that companies will look for is if you have a certain percentage of match on your resume.
Yeah.
So for example, they may have specific languages listed in their job specifications. If you can prove that you have those on your resume, as well as explain it in your cover letter, companies will go after you so quick.
Okay, good to know. And you mentioned a cover letter. How is writing a cover letter? Because I see them for job applications all the time, but I'm always I don't know what to put on that. I just want a job.
Yeah.
So when you were working on those, what did you find valuable to put on those?
Something that a lot of people recommended, especially people here on campus, what they advised to do was don't summarize what's already in your resume.
Oh, okay.
Basically, don't go into your cover letter and say, dear manager of this company, I have certifications in this language. I know all these different languages. I have all this experience. Don't do that. What I'd recommend adding to a cover letter is describing your experience in helping a company improve.
Okay.
So, for example, what have you done in the past to help a company grow? What statistics can you show? What not really list out the experience, but what have you done with the experience?
Right.
How can it improve that company? What's it going to be worth to them?
Okay, I really like that. And was there anything that your dad offered to you or like any piece of advice that he gave you when you were looking for jobs as someone who is an engineer at Samsung? Was there anything valuable to you from him?
Absolutely. A lot of things that he had shared with me was looking at not only what they're asking for, but what do they do? What do they find passionate? He explained a lot of what his boss looks for when looking to hire somebody.
Yeah.
He said, pay attention to what Samsung does. Research as much as you can. They obviously won't show the deep stuff, but research what you can, or talk to somebody who works there, just so then they can share a little bit with you of what they do, and look for common interests. If you can find that common ground, then reach out to that particular position and say, I have this experience. This is how I can help you grow and progress as a company.
Oh, I never thought about it like that. That's a good one. Do you have anything?
Reaching that common ground with a company, I guess that can really help break the ice in introductions and stuff. You seem less foreign to the company. It's more just like, okay, here's where we have some common ground. I think we can work with this guy or gal. But,
absolutely. There was a position I tried applying to down in Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
It was with a company called Tiff's Treats.
I love
Tiff's Treats?
them.
Yeah,
Yes.
they're the best. But I tried applying to them as a software engineer as well. They had an open position for sort of a front and back end, so full stack developer.
Yeah.
And that's something I really enjoyed doing at my internship, was full stack. So I thought, oh, great, let's just continue with that. And just following the concept of what their mission statement was. And they had I believe it was 8 or 10 steps that they choose to follow every day, but also seeing what they do on a daily basis. Just that common team unit, the camaraderie, the friendship, and just looking for ways to build each other up, as well as the distribution companies around the entire United States.
Yeah.
It was just incredible to see what they do and see their passion and really what they're all about. So definitely finding that common ground and saying, I'm passionate about that too, and I want to help your company grow through my passion. That's a golden flag right there for companies.
And so would it also be valuable, like on cover letters, to do research on like what companies' values are, and then really emphasize about how you can contribute to those as well?
Absolutely.
Okay.
If you can find that interest and connect yourself to that,
Yeah.
and see that you're willing to help them lift themselves up, I'd say go for that. That's top priority in a cover letter.
Okay. I really like that. And so you do mostly databases and SQL right now, but you did say you did have a passion for web development. And so did you feel like you were like pivoting, or like maybe even like sacrificing like some of your passions or interests to pursue like a different job? Or how did you learn to enjoy the work that you do, even though it wasn't something you set out or like intended to do?
That's a really good question. Looking for ways to, or looking if it was a sacrifice. I'd say, to be honest, it wasn't really a sacrifice. I mean, I guess you could say that I was sacrificing, my favorite type of programming, full stack. But in reality, it's not really so much a sacrifice as much as it was giving something better. For example, just focusing more of my efforts on the back end and helping my teammates that way, but also just learning something new.
Yeah.
It's sort of a return on investment, I guess you could say, where, you're willing to give something, you're willing to say, you know what, I'll step away from that particular side of programming to help you guys with your progression in this particular field. It's more of a, give and take kind of situation, because you gain experience while giving back to who hired you.
Yeah, I really admire that. And when you started out in more of the back-end realm, was there anything that you found challenging or difficult?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was definitely something I had never really tried before. I had done back-end development with databases and connecting through, say, Node.js, for example,
Yeah.
where it's all run through a already pre-built API. I didn't really have to create any APIs except for a little bit at the end there, but whereas in this particular position, that's every single day. I'm tapping into our databases as well as enhancing our API that's all home built. So having more of that experience has been incredibly helpful, but it was definitely a major learning curve when coming into this job. My first week in particular, excuse me, when they introduced me to the APIs that we develop and the different services in C# that we create, and also just .NET as a whole.
Yeah.
I thought, what am I doing? What did I get into?
Right.
But after having more experience with that, and also through Codecademy, practicing through their platforms as well, it's gotten easier over this past year.
Oh, good.
So I don't know if we ever clarified this. Is this your first programming job, like your first official one, or did you have one before this?
I had the internship. It was a paid position.
Right.
But it was for a startup company.
Okay, yeah.
I haven't ever done programming in a big company like this one before.
Okay, and you've been here for a year now, right?
Yes, I have.
So how would you describe that experience of coming in as kind of a fresh programmer into like corporate level code?
It's definitely a major adjustment.
Yeah.
Because in the startup company, for that website that we were designing, I was the only developer.
Wow.
I had people I could reach out to for help and guidance, but most of the time it was me just touching that website all day long. So that was one part of it. The other part of it was I was using a lot of low code solutions like Drupal,
Right. Yeah.
that content creator platform. But coming here, where you sit down and write functions and methods and all these different tools every single day by hand, it's definitely a major adjustment. But there's also other implications, such as what rules and regulations do you have to follow every single day? What data protection do you have to enforce? What security measures are in place? There's a lot of that to keep track of, but also checking in with, say, your mentor, for example. I have a mentor. He's fantastic. By far one of my favorite mentors I've ever had. But he shows me every single day where I can improve, as well as what things need to be fixed, but also what things are working.
Yeah.
Just providing that guidance on what can be done to improve the code for the school.
That's cool. Do you guys work on like a team, or is it like just kind of you and your mentor? You guys are kind of a unit, and then there's somebody else with a mentor, and so on.
It's kind of along those lines.
Yeah.
We have a team of about, I think, 16 or 17 people.
Wow.
But we're each working on something different. So me and my mentor, we're working a lot with the registration system and academic tools. Some of my other friends are working on financial responsibility, some on approved housing, some on human resources. Everybody has their own project to work on, but we all convene together every Tuesday to just follow up on what we're doing and make sure everybody's all right.
Nice.
Awesome. And so if you work for the registration, is there a way to where every time I press the back button, it doesn't show me an error? Asking because I registered for classes this morning.
That is a great question.
Is registration open?
It is.
Oh.
It opened a couple days ago.
Yeah.
2 days? Oh, no. Okay.
You should probably check that.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. That's on me.
Everybody get your registration done.
Yeah.
No, but
snap. Sorry.
It's all good. As far as the user interface, what the students work with, I don't really have a lot of jurisdiction over that. But definitely, if you complete if you go into the IT help desk website, there's a ticket system that you can fill out to say, hey, this is an issue. Can you please work on fixing this or something like that? And usually we do have a team that handles that type of situation, and they'll delegate it based on who controls what.
Okay, that would make sense because recently we just did a hackathon and one team even did a web scraping where it made registration easier,
Interesting.
where we weren't running into those errors. So I wonder if they could be like, "Hey, here's our idea." But that's good to know. Okay, yeah, we should start a petition for that.
Well, I mean, like he said, they have so many other like things to consider, like security and stuff. I'm sure
Yeah.
it wouldn't be as simple as a hackathon project, but
That's true. That's true.
That could provide a blueprint, though.
Eh,
It would give developers at least an
Mm.
idea of what students would like to see.
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
Because that's, and not just in this position, but also in all different companies.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is there's sort of a disconnect between developers and users.
Mm.
Usually the
Yeah.
unit testers are that middleman, but sometimes they don't really communicate,
Mm-hmm.
or sometimes there's a disconnect somewhere. And
Yeah.
users will say, we want this, but developers interpret it as it needs to look this way instead. And there can be discrepancies, but most of the time we pass to the developer, to the testers, and say, hey, does this look good? And just see what the responses are.
Okay, that sounds really good. And so, what does a day in your life at work look like? I know that you're working closely with a mentor and you're on the team.
Mm.
And so, what are you doing on an hour-to-hour basis?
Good question. First off, it starts with a sort of a daily check-in with the
Mhm.
entire team. We have a daily Scrum chat that we post to,
Okay.
just kind of displaying what needs to be done, what things we're working on. Something I like to do is post my highest priority projects first, all the way down to the lowest.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a list of 10 things, a list of 2, just whatever needs to be done that day. Then by hour to hour, it's usually just programming most of the day.
Yeah.
I'd say about 90% of the day is that. The other 10% is either lunch break, obviously,
Yeah.
or just following up with other team members to see how they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, especially, I'm helping another teammate with their project and just kind of gaining experience with working with others and just seeing more of what the school does
Mm-hmm.
and more of what our other developers do.
That's really cool. And so, is there any other teams or departments that you're interested in as to what they do?
Like different interests that,
Yeah,
just
or just
different
what
things
you've
that
seen
they-
other developers working on for the school. Is there anything that you've seen that's interesting?
Oh, I see. Um, I'd say something that really catches my interest is mostly just all of the projects.
Yeah.
Something especially that I've seen happen is we have a lot of programs that we develop with AI, for example.
Mm-hmm.
We use AI tools to help build
Oh, wow.
the products that we create.
Mm-hmm.
We don't necessarily use AI just to create everything, because there are ways of doing that, but we want to make sure that it's built to our standards.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll still use AI, but we'll make modifications as necessary. But something that I would really love to do is learn all of the different systems that are here. So then if the school was to begin a migration to AI-built platforms or AI-based
Yeah.
tools, I'd have the experience to help them. That's partially what I'm doing right now, is taking courses from BYU-I on machine learning.
That's
Oh,
actually really
really?
smart.
It's
Yeah.
so
Really
much
smart.
fun. I've loved it. But just taking, say, something like course planning, for example.
Mm-hmm.
A student could go into our AI chatbot and say, I have these particular interests. This is what I love to do. What courses can you recommend based on these? And it would return a list of best to worst matches. Say
Wow.
top 10 matches. It would list best to worst. And it would say, based on your current interests, I found these that would definitely match more of what you're looking for.
Mhm.
If not, please provide additional input or clarify as needed, so then I can help you further.
Wow. And so that's going into a school chatbot that we should have?
It's not really something that has been talked about.
Yeah.
I mean, I talk about it with my boss as something
Mhm.
that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
But if the school was to make a migration,
Yeah.
that's something that I'd love to present and say, this is
Mhm.
what I've been thinking about. Would this be something that'd be beneficial to the school?
That's really cool. And so, as students, I mean, we're now pivoting into embracing using AI to check for bugs and everything, and like kind of like kickstarting on like the basic code and then growing our applications. And so on a corporate level, I know that you guys are using it. How are you guys using it responsibly?
Great question. We use specific guidelines that the church has defined, such as do not post any sort of secrets or keys or anything like that. If there's code that contains that, then filter out those keys, remove them, because AI models, though you can set them to not train based on your data that you provide, that data is still stored somewhere.
Yeah, all of it. That's what I've heard. Even with OpenAI, even if you set it specifically to not respond based on data you've given, they store everything. But
It's very dangerous what AI can do.
yeah,
I mean, the AI itself may not be the culprit behind the issue, but those who are behind it, what they might try to do with that particular data. And so the church has established these particular standards to say, do not post those. If you do post any code, make sure it's purged of every single key imaginable. But we have a system using either Microsoft Bing Copilot or OpenAI ChatGPT. We can provide entire files into that to say, can you help me rewrite this? Or something to that effect, or provide insights on what we can do to improve this file. So in that way, we're not providing any particular data that's sensitive or any sort of personal identifiable data. We're just providing code snippets to gain insight on how to improve it.
Wow, that's really cool. I didn't know that. Well, first time I heard of it was when, who just spoke at our fireside? Bednar?
Yeah, the Bednar.
Yeah. He mentioned that I know, I did too. I was like, oh, whoops. But he mentioned that the church had their own policies and like regulations. That was the first time I heard of that, and I was like, oh, that probably should be important to look at. So we're being more responsible with it. But yeah, do you have anything to add on that?
I mean, it's just very important. Never put personal information into an AI ever. I mean, even if you're not working on corporate code, don't do it with your own personal projects. Just never put personal information into that stuff. It's very dangerous. And it's not even necessarily that the people who control the AIs have some nefarious purpose behind it, but like their data could be hacked and stuff like that. So are we running out of time?